Kelly Doton is the head field hockey coach at Boston College, and she is good enough to spend some time with us here as we kind of honor Title IX today and think about the impact that has happened with that federal law enacted 48 years ago. And Kelly, first of all, good morning and thanks for the time. Appreciate you being part of the program.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You're a native of Greenfield, Mass., and you've got a great ACC story because you played collegiately at Wake Forest and now have done just a remarkable work as the head coach at Boston College. Today is always a special day. You're honoring not only the accomplishment of females currently on the collegiate level, professionally as well, but certainly I've got to believe today is a day where you remember also the powerful women that kind of set the course. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, of course. I think, growing up in Western Mass, we, played a couple sports with a lot of great female head coaches. And I had the opportunity to go down to Wake Forest and play for, Jen Averill, who's a legend in my mind, one of the best field hockey coaches ever. And, I'm fortunate to be in this position here at Boston College, and I like to consider myself the youngest of the group, and I got some great mentors ahead of me, starting with, obviously the legendary Karen Shellen at UNC. So, Justine Sowery coached me, and Pam Buston on the Olympic team. So those guys I've always looked up to. And then, of course, you got Michelle Madison and Ange Bradley. Just great female leaders in their respective roles, but not just with the sport, just for female rights in general. And I couldn't ask for a better group of mentors.
Well, it's also made a formidable competitive league in the process, hasn't it?
Oh, of course, it's cutthroat. We always say, I got, like I said, I got to play in it. So, obviously got to face Coach Selton many times. And, I always joke with her. I said, why didn't you recruit me to UNC? So I was this small town kid in Western Mass. And, I have a great relationship for them. I get a lot of feedback. Certainly Jen is number one on my list when I need some guidance or help. So, a lot of great female coaches surrounding me, not just in, field hockey, that sport, but in other sports I reach out to, and, just a lot of great women that have come before me, and I'm just going to try and carry that legacy on.
I want to ask you about the 2019 season in particular, because it was a move that your program made. Obviously, the Final Four, ACC championship match, all those type things. Those are things that measure the success. What were the pillars? What were the foundations that you put in place to get to the 2019 season?
Yeah, I think it started back in 2015. We started building a cultural piece that surrounded my beliefs as a person and belief as an athlete. And, I think the two things I can never teach an athlete is competitiveness and hard work. And, I try to keep telling myself I'm a very impatient person, very impatient coach. I want things now. But, the lessons I learned along the way kind of led us to the 2019 season. And we had a couple speed bumps early on. We were set 4-5. And, we had to make a change. And, goalkeeping, I think in any sport that has goalkeeping, when you have two great goalkeepers in Sarah Dwyer and Jonna Kennedy who could go in the net at any time, you got to make a decision. And, Jonna wasn't playing terrible. It's just, we're sitting at 4-5. I had to make the choice. And it was tough. It was, a hard night's sleep the night before. And we went to our walkthrough at UVA, and I made the decision. It was just a gut feeling. And I think, if it went wrong, I wouldn't have been mad. I always tell people, go with your gut. If you're wrong, at least you tried something. And Sarah played outstanding. The defense in front of her played outstanding. She got a shutout. And that pretty much started the run for the 2019 season. We never looked back. I think the last three losses that we had were against, UNC, who, clear cut, Aaron Matson, the best field hockey player in the country, led that team. And, we just fell short. And, it's all about building. I don't want this to just be a one and done. And, it starts with culture with me. And that's my firm belief. Foundation will lead you to success. And of course the speed bumps will come. But, we're looking forward to 2020.
Kelly, we have had Coach Shelton on with us a couple different times. We've talked about the success of field hockey across the board in this league. You've played at the highest level around the world in field hockey. How good is this league? I mean, when we think of, the very best field hockey in the United States, should we think of the ACC as right there with it?
100%. We have junior national team members, not just from, our, in the U.S., but overseas as well. Dutch junior national is the best field hockey country in the world, and German junior national team members. And it's just, I think, top to bottom, 1 through 7, we could be ranked in top 10, in the country. And it's not just, the past 10 years, it's been the past 20 years. I don't want to date myself when I graduated college, but even back then, some teams have left. Maryland left. I love that rivalry, but we added Louisville, we added Syracuse, and it's just every ACC game. People ask who are your rivals, and our kids will always say any ACC game they get up for. So we got some fantastic players in this conference, and we look forward to, just it goes back to the coaches. Look at the coaches at every institution. They're just great coaches, and they bring the best field hockey players both domestically and internationally. So it's tough, but we wouldn't want it any other way.
How much of a benefit is there to have played collegiately in this league and now coaching in it, understanding kind of the highs and lows, if you will, of the ACC in field hockey?
Yeah, I think, again, playing at Wake Forest, when Jen was building her program, she started that from the ground up. And I know the year before I got there, they had just missed out on going to their first Final Four. And, I always enjoy telling the story of winning the first women's national championship at Wake Forest. That meant a lot. The legendary golf coach Diane Daly came out. She, again, one of the other women mentors in my life, came out with a picture of the golf team, and that was the last national championship that Wake had won. And she said, "You guys be the first women's team to go out and do it," and that's motivation. And I'll never forget that. She came out to the practice right before we were heading out to I think it was Louisville, and those are moments that I remember. But playing in it, you certainly understand the rivalries, and I get to tell my players about the stories that I had, and they're experiencing it themselves, which is great.
All right, you've got degrees from Wake Forest and from Boston College. So my partner here would want to know, what was the toughest class at Wake and what was the toughest class at BC?
I was never great at calculus. It was not for me. I went into Wake thinking that I was going to be a business major, and I think I took an accounting class, and then I realized I'm not going to be a business major. This isn't for me. So a little bit different, because I was a good, 10 years in between, graduating with my undergrad and getting my master's degree. But, here at BC, I certainly some great relationship with professors that I still talk to this day. And I learned a lot about leadership, a lot about listening, a lot about hearing, a lot about growing. So I think it was just kind of different phases. But I would definitely say Wake was a little bit tougher. No offense, BC.
Hey, Kelly, we wish you all the success in the world and appreciate you being a part of our Title IX special. It's been great to watch BC hockey develop in the last couple of years, and I hope that you're able to get 2020 off on the right note here. I'm sure this has been a different time for you and all the coaches, but especially in a sport that kind of gets individualistic in the summertime, right? So now you got to get everybody back and kind of find your groove again, I think, from where you left off, right?
Yeah, I think a majority of us are still in the same boat. I actually I saw the date on our last meeting upstairs in our conference room, and it was March 12th. And it's very surreal to think that the last time I saw our players was in March, and the next time I'll see them is hopefully August. That's the plan right now. But when the pandemic hit, it was all about the student-athlete welfare. I didn't tell them to pick up a stick. I didn't even tell them to run or lift. The gyms were closed. So all of our team meetings were based around, how you doing? Because they lost that social interaction that we thrive on here in college campuses across the country. So, it was tough. I think, elementary school all the way through college, they had a tough time doing the online classes, being home, having a new routine. I felt bad for them. I did. I had a lot of empathy and sympathy for them. But for some reason, I think they're going to be even more eager and hungry to get back to campus and start this 2020 season. And, we're certainly hoping that we start on time and we play all of our games in the conference championship and the national championship. But, there's a lot of questions still unanswered. And, each day we move forward. Up here in Massachusetts, the coronavirus, the numbers have gone down drastically. We're slowly starting to open up, and you guys see what's going on down in the South. You're there. My brother lives in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and he's been going out to eat in restaurants for 7 weeks, and I thought that was crazy. But there's just a lot of different parts of the country are going through this at different rates, different times. So we're certainly trying to do our part here in Massachusetts, and hopefully we can get our kids back safely and for all sports, not just field hockey.
That is well said. Thank you so much again for your time today. We wish you all the success going forward and really look forward to following your program and the rest of ACC field hockey coming up in the fall.
Thank you guys so much. Stay safe, stay healthy.